Okay, so having settled yourselves, let's experiment with opening today by lying with legs long if it's comfortable and wide apart, so perhaps wider than your mat. And you can do that with knees bent, but legs long, wider than the mat, and arms out and up on the diagonal, so you can rest them really comfortably into the floor. So we're coming into this expansive resting position in honor of the summer solstice, which we're heading towards this weekend. So the pinnacle of light in the seasonal year. And a still point, as there's about 3 days where the sun is in about the same place in the sky before it starts to track towards the days becoming shorter. So we're in this place of expansiveness, the pinnacle of light, and of stillness. So just noticing how you're doing and whether these outer energies are influencing your life in any way. It could be that there's a feeling of up and out in your life at the moment. And you're noticing the length of your spine. You're noticing the length of your arms and your legs. Noticing the weightiness of the body as it rests on the floor, and making little micro movements here and there to become more rested, more comfortable. You're noticing your breathing. It's a natural resting breath. And with each inhalation, you can feel your chest, your heart space expanding a little. And with each exhalation, just feel your chest and your heart space softening. So relaxing the physicality of your chest and the energetics of your heart. And then from a place of soft-heartedness, just acknowledge what is blooming for you in your life right now, or in what ways are you blooming? In which ways might you be an expression of this summer solstice moment? And just acknowledge your response to that inquiry. So it could be that you've gone to something immediate. Could be that some cynical dialogue has come in. So just watching with compassion your response to that question about the ways in which either you are blooming or projects that you're involved with are blooming, your life is in some way in bloom. And just hold it very, very tenderly in your heart. And then let's invite the breath to deepen. And as you inhale, awareness can go to the heart, to the center of the chest, so the heart space at the center of the chest. And then as you exhale, just feel awareness go out into the hands and the feet, and perhaps fingers and toes just spread a little bit. So a few rounds like this, where inhalation gathers awareness to the heart space, and exhalation perhaps spreads this heart-oriented energy out through the whole body into the hands and the feet. So just breathing little waves of heart energy through you, so love and compassion and kindness, and filling yourself. It could be that you are also drawing in the light. So it could be that inhalation, you're receiving light in your heart space, if this kind of visualization works for you. And exhalation, you're spreading that light through the body out into the extremities. So 1 or 2 more deeper breaths like that. And then the breath can find its natural rhythm again. Just check in, see how you're doing. Let's notice what's needed from your practice today. So this high summer solstice point, it can be quite charged, and it can be that we need to protect ourselves a little bit from the brightness of the metaphorical sun. Or it could be that there's such an open, expanded feeling that boundaries aren't so clear. So just notice how you are in this moment and what you might need from your practice. So if you're feeling a little limitless, then perhaps you could be more interested in tighter boundaries around your practice, your movements, and so on. Or if you're feeling a little overexposed, perhaps you could find ways to protect yourself. Whatever's going on for you. Might be nothing to do with these 2 things I've just mentioned, but whatever's going on for you. So setting an intention around what's needed. And then staying in this star shape, open, expanded position, let's gently press the right side of the pelvis down into the floor. And then release that. And press the left side of the pelvis down into the floor. And release. And then the right shoulder down into the floor. And release. And the left shoulder down into the floor. And release. Let's press the left shoulder down again. And releasing. Right shoulder down again. Releasing, right hip down again, and releasing, and left hip, and releasing. And once more round in reverse, so left hip presses down, and releases, and right hip presses down, and releases, and right shoulder presses down, and releases, and left shoulder presses down. And releases. So already you might be feeling the grounding effect of this press release of the body to the floor. So the action in itself, consciously contracting, slowly releasing and relaxing muscles in a pandiculation to reset them, so to repattern them to neutral, but also just very grounding to feel the body in contact with the earth. So if you are feeling a little heady and open and limitless on this solstice weekend, it could be that just this awareness of the floor starts to change things for you. And let's bring some movements into fingers and toes. So some little wriggling movements into the fingers and the toes. And then try some rotations into the wrists and the ankles, and it might feel sort of strangely unfamiliar to be rotating wrists and ankles with the hands and the feet, still a slightly different position than you would normally do this. And then take those rotations in reverse. And then be still, hands and feet resting heavily on the floor, bones heavy, sinking down into the earth and feeling the floor beneath you. It's holding you, receiving you, and just feeling the expansiveness of space in front of you. So beyond the boundaries of your room, just an infinity of space. So you're with both, being fully anchored to the earth and opened to spaciousness. So then, with the right knee out to the side, let's just draw the right heel in towards the groin, coming into a supine tree pose, and then slide that right leg back out to straight, so you're still in your star shape, so the leg's going out to the side rather than down to the end of the mat. And then see if you can keep your right hand on the floor, right elbow on the floor, but you're just bending right elbow a little bit and drawing it down towards the wall in front of you. So the back of the hand's dragging on the floor, and the back of the arm is in contact with the floor. You just pull the elbow down a little bit, and then you straighten the arm back out on the diagonal there. Let's repeat it on the right side. So you're bending your right knee to draw the heel in towards the groin, and then straightening the leg out on the diagonal there, and then you're bending your right elbow any amount, so you might not move very much there, just bend the elbow a little bit, trying to keep the back of the hand towards the floor and draw the elbow down towards the wall in front, and then you straighten your arm back out on the diagonal. And then take it over to the left side. So let's bend the left knee to just slide the foot, the heel in towards the groin. So you're on the little toe side of your left foot. And then you're straightening the leg back out on the diagonal. And then your left elbow bends. You're keeping the back of the left hand on the floor, the back of the arm on the floor, drawing the elbow down in the direction of the wall in front of you. And then you slide the arm back out to straight on the diagonal there. So the foot, left foot, comes in towards the groin again, and then extend the foot away, and then the left elbow draws down, and extend the arm away. So just back to neutral, to the length of the spine, to the length of the arms and the legs. Now let's see if we can bend the right knee and the right elbow simultaneously. So as you're drawing your right heel in towards the groin, you're drawing your right elbow down in the direction of that bent right knee. And then let's straighten the arm and leg out, so you're still on the diagonal in your star shape here. And then take that again. So it could be a very small movement, much smaller than the one I'm doing. And then extend back out. Let's try that one once again. You want to feel the texture of the floor that you're moving on. Straighten the arm out. So then let's try it on the other side. So as you draw your left heel in towards the groin, that left elbow is drawing down in the direction of the bent left knee, and then you're straightening the arm and the leg out on the diagonal, and then you take it again. You're noticing but there will be a difference in your experience to do this right side, left side. And once again. Okay. And resting, being aware of the length of the spine, just being aware of the back of both shoulders on the floor and the back of the pelvis. And keeping legs long, let's press the top of the back of the pelvis down into the floor. So it's going to feel like your belly drawing down and your tail just lightening a little bit. And then release that to tip the pelvis forward, and as if you can touch the tip of your tail to the floor. So that's a little arching of your back, little arc of space beneath you. So move between these two positions, legs long if possible and legs wide if you're able. So you're slowly arcing and lengthening the back. Could be that the breath starts to come in to support you, so you'll probably want to be inhaling as the pelvis is tipping forward and the tip of your tail is pushing to the floor, so it's going to feel like belly pushing upwards. And then exhaling as the pelvis tips backwards, so top of the back of the pelvis pressing to the floor, and that will feel like your belly pulling downwards. And then maybe one or two that are slower. And then be still for a moment. And then let's try bringing both heels in towards the groin at the same time. So you come into a tailor's pose and the pelvis can tip forwards. And then you slide the legs out to straight on the diagonal and the spine just naturally lengthens. And then perhaps both elbows bending, so elbows drawing down towards the wall in front. And again, you'll feel a little arch of the spine, more in the upper portion of the spine when you're working the arms, the elbows, and then straightening out. So again, heels coming in towards the groin with the pelvis tipping forward to arch the back. So you'll feel that a little bit more in your lumbar spine, your lower spine. And then straightening the legs out on the diagonal. And then let's bend the elbows. So they're drawing towards the wall in front, or it might feel like they're drawing in towards the side waist. And you're going to feel a little more of the arch here in your thoracic, your mid-spine. And then straightening the arms out. So it could be that you alternate those two a few more times. If you're feeling quite stiff, there's not so much movement, then do that. But it could be that you do the two together, so that now you draw the heels in towards the groin and you're pulling the elbows down towards the floor. So very open, expansive position for front body. And then you straighten your arms and your legs out. You give yourself a moment to relax. And you try it again. So aim to do it as effortlessly as possible. So if, for example, you're noticing that there's a real kind of struggle to do it, or that there's tension in the back of the neck, or there's a feeling of forcing or striving, just make a much smaller movement. So we'll do 2 or 3 more. And then next time arms and legs are out to straight, let's just relax there for a moment. Maybe a deep breath in through the nostrils and a sighing breath out through the mouth. And then draw just your right heel in towards the groin to then bend the knee, point the knee up towards the ceiling. So you're standing on the sole of your right foot. And then do the same thing on the left side. So you draw the left heel in towards the groin and then point the knee up towards the ceiling. So you're standing on your left foot. And let's keep the feet quite wide, but on the mat. So about the width of the mat apart. And if you're able, let's keep the arms out and up on the diagonal, or at least resting shoulder height on the floor. And so just noticing the difference. Lying in this position with your knees bent, your feet flat to the floor. So already you might be feeling that the front body is just a little more protected somehow just by having the knees bent. So not quite so open. And let's start to rock the knees just very gently from side to side. So a small movement, maybe about 1/3 of the way towards your full range there. So side to side movement, and let the head turn with the legs. So as the knees tip right, the head turns right, and so on. And you're noticing areas of the body in contact with the floor as you do this. You might notice that as you tip your knees to the right, might feel like your left arm pulls towards you a little bit, shortens, and as you tip your knees to the left, it's that right arm that maybe feels like it's pulling in a little bit. So you're noticing the kind of push-pull through the arms, passive arms resting on the floor. And let's just take a few of these where we're leading the movement from the soles of the feet. So we've probably been leading from the knees, because that was the instruction, to tip the knees side to side. So now exactly the same movement, but feel that you're leading it from the shift of weight across the soles of the feet. And just see how that feels a little bit different. And then perhaps lead from the pelvis, the back of the pelvis, shifting one side to the other. So again, a change in emphasis. And then leading from the rib cage, so shift of weight from one side to the other across the ribs. And then possibly leading somehow, or at least having more focus on the shoulders and the arms. So this sense that, you know, one arm is shortening a fraction and the other arm is lengthening a little as you're swinging side to side here. Just be aware of that shift across the arms. And then be still for a moment. Be present. Let's check back in with your heart space and with the physicality of your chest, and let's see whether the chest is softening any more than it was at the beginning. Could be a sense of opening there. And then slowly now, let's bring the knees down towards the floor on the right side, just as far as they'll go. And turn the head and look to the left. Look towards your left hand. Keep the arm on the floor, particularly the back of the elbow. Just extend away through that left arm. Let's make it a little bit longer, but don't lift your elbow. And then come back to center. So knees to upright, head to center. And let's take it again to the same side. So the knees are going to the right and the head's turning to the left. You're extending away through your left arm. And then back to center. And then we'll come into the position just once more there. So knees to the right and head to the left. Just settle here with that conscious reach through left arm. And let's take 3 rounds of a 2 or even a 3-part inhalation breath. So you're inhaling either 40% or so capacity of your lungs, completing inhalation and exhaling, or perhaps you inhale maybe 30 or so percent, pause, another 30%, pause, another 30 or so percent, pause, and then exhaling to completely release. So maybe you start with 2 and then you move towards 3. And when you take the breath in parts like this, then you kind of increase the lung capacity. So the sense of expansion. It's really exploring expansion. Okay, so when that's complete, and do take the time to do it in your own way, let's then just come back to neutral for a moment and rest here. And then tip the knees off to the left side, keeping feet wide, turning the head to the right and extending away through your right arm without lifting the elbow from the floor. So extending. So you want to feel the extension coming out of the shoulder. And then back to upright. And again, let's come into our twist to the left with the legs. So head turning to the right and reaching away through the right arm. Back of the shoulder stays on the floor. And back through center. And then into the twist once again. Settling there. Having a sense of reach through the arm, so you're not losing contact with the arm, and then taking your 3 rounds of 2 or 3-part inhalation breath. So really exploring the physical expression of expansiveness. And when things have completed, And those breaths feel complete. Slowly the knees are coming to upright. And we'll just rest at center. Let's see how things are feeling. And so we've had the arms out and up for quite a while. So slowly let's bring the hands behind the head now. So you're cradling the head with the hands. And the feet might place themselves about hip width apart on the mat now. And gently, let's press the back of the right shoulder or the elbow down towards the floor. And release, and then the left shoulder or elbow down into the floor. And release, and then both elbows gently pressing down. And releasing. And then keep the right hand where it is, but draw your left knee in towards the chest and catch hold behind the thigh with the left hand. And then we're pressing right elbow down towards the floor and turning the head to the right. To then release that, raise the head up, a little twist of the upper body to bring your left elbow to that, your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. So you're coming into a twist. So right elbow to the outside of left knee, and then slowly the head's coming down. The right elbow is pressing to the floor. You're turning your head to the right, and then you're raising the head up, twisting the upper body to the left, and that right elbow coming to the outside of left knee. And then once more coming down. This would be your inhalation. Breathing into that right side of the chest, and then coming up, exhalation. So feeling the right side of the chest compress. And then let's lower the head down. Place the left foot on the floor. Both hands behind the head again. You might go for reverse interlock of the fingers. And just track sensations. So having done that on one side, you might notice a kind of imbalance in the body. And then let's press the back of the left shoulder or elbow down towards the floor and release. And then the right shoulder and elbow down towards the floor and release. And both pressing down and release. And then keep the left hand behind the head. Draw the right knee in towards the chest, and you're catching hold behind the thigh with the hand. So left elbow pressing towards the floor, head turning left, and then release that to raise the head up, twisting upper body to the right, bringing left elbow to the outside of the knee. And you could be making a very small expression of this, doesn't have to be a big movement at all. Let's bring the head back down, elbow pressing to the floor, head turning left, and then coming up. Feel that twist into the upper body, and you can really sort of press down through the right side of the body in contact with the floor to give yourself a little more purchase to twist. So then let's try that once more. So bring the head down. So this is your inhalation, breathing into left lung there, and then head coming up, exhalation. And do make sure that the neck is as relaxed as it can be here. So the work is in the abdomen, it's not in the neck. Okay, and then the head's coming down. And you're placing the right foot down, and both hands are behind the head again. To press the right elbow down towards the floor and release. The left elbow down towards the floor and release. And then both elbows or shoulders pressing down and releasing to raise the head up and draw the knees in towards the chest, both knees, and see if elbows will come to the outside of the knees. So you're in a neutral position here, but you're making yourself really tall. So after all that expansiveness, experiencing the opposite, and then you can release the feet down and gently press the elbows to the floor and try it a few times. So the first one or two, you're kind of exploring your full range there, so it might feel like there's a little bit of work going on, but then you can make it a bit faster and looser. So perhaps not coming so high with the head or so close with the knees. So loosen it up, Make smaller movements, could be much smaller movements. Just lift the head a little, lift the feet a little bit, and then go back to a bigger movement. Remembering not to do it from the neck, but to engage through your stomach muscles. And then when you've had enough of all of that, you're placing your feet down on the floor. Let's have the arms pinned into the side of the body. So you feel your arms touching the sides of the body, and then bend at your elbows. So you're pointing your fingertips to the ceiling and your palms are facing one another across the torso. You can just lightly spread your fingers and lightly spread your toes. So feet hip width apart, heels quite close to you. And let's press the floor with the hands and the feet. So again, coming back to this feeling of groundedness when we make very conscious connection to the floor beneath, and then release that press and take it again. Push the feet down, push the upper arms, so from your shoulders to your elbows, down into the floor, and release. And then let's do it again, and this time lift the hips up towards a bridge posture, so you choose how high you want to go. You don't always have to go to your full height, so if you're exploring boundaries in your practice today, for example, you want to be a bit more boundaried, perhaps you don't want to be right at the very limits of your physicality. You want to be somewhere else. So choosing your place, holding for a moment, keeping that firm press down through the feet, through the upper arms, keeping activity in your fingers and your toes, and taking some deeper breaths. It could be that you explore 2 or 3 part inhalation breath here. It won't be as easy with the front body lengthened out like this, but you could explore it here. And then when you're done or you need to release, let's bring the hips down slowly. So threading the spine down bone by bone. And then you can rest the hands on the belly and relax. So you're tuning into the movement of the breath beneath your hands. Also aware of your chest, your heart space. Let's see how you're doing. Coming back to that self-inquiry around what is blooming in your life right now, or how you might be blooming. And just see if a different response comes now that we're not so up in the head, hopefully a little more embodied as a result of the practice, but also having just softened and opened the chest, so not so defended. So defended against the world, and so perhaps better able to let in some of our own goodness. And then, without disturbing yourself too much, let's just tip to the side and up to sitting. Bring yourself up. And if you're able, let's sit with the legs crossed and the right leg in front. You can have the hands out to the side, so in line with your hips rather than leaning back. And just push your fingertips down into the floor and lift the hips on that side, and then take it over to the other side. So side waist contracting, so rather than sort of pushing the shoulder up towards the ear, you've got side waist contracting. So side to side with that, and you might close the eyes and go inwards and notice the movement of the spine. So this kind of C-shaped side to side movement of the spine, not something that we generally do in our day-to-day movements. So I was curious as to how that is for you. And then be still, and let's inhale to take the arms out and up above the head. And exhale the hands to the heart. And then let's take 3 breaths to the horizon. So you're going to inhale, reach the arms forward and open out. So imagine that you're watching your solstice sunrise and really opening to it. And then exhale, you're going to just draw the hands back in front of the heart. So 2 more deep breaths, inhaling, really drawing in the brilliance of the solstice sun, the light, and then exhaling, just feeling that light filling every cell of your body. So doing it again. And then taking a pause here. Let's reach right arm out and up and just bring left hand towards the rib cage here. Encourage yourself over into a side stretch to the left, but turn your head as if to look underneath the right armpit. And then you can perhaps just bring yourself back to upright to neutral, keeping the arm up, and then you take it again. This little twist, you're looking underneath the armpit. And back to upright, and take that again. And release, and then that right arm can come down, hands either side you again, straighten the legs out, just flex the feet. And then bend your knees a little way and curl in towards yourself slightly, so you're feeling contraction through front body, and then push your feet away, straighten your legs, straighten your spine up again to see if that has created any more ease. So we can try that again. So you just slide your heels towards you, bend your knees a little bit, and you round. So you're really hugging muscle to bone through the front of the body, and then you release into an upright sit. And then let's cross the legs with the left leg in front and take our lift and lower of the opposite sit bone, and this kind of push of the fingertips to the floor will help with the lift of the hip, but you could also focus on that contraction of your side waist, and you want to make sure that your shoulder is drawing down away from the ear, the hip that's lifting. Yeah, so shoulders are relaxed. Okay, and then be still. And let's inhale, the arms out and up above the head. And exhale, the hands to the heart, and we'll take another 3 horizon breaths. So inhaling, reaching the arms forward and out. That's maybe imagining that you're breathing to the solstice sunrise, and then exhale. It's really gathering all that goodness from the sun back into your heart. So you open your heart and then you receive into the heart. So let's do that again, inhaling, or you're just finding your own way to breathe. You don't need to follow my rhythm. And exhaling. And again, inhale. And exhale. Pausing for a moment, sitting, maybe eyes closed, tracking the flow of the energy through you, so allowing the practice to direct your attention to subtleness, the subtleties of your inner experience. So not thinking, not emotional drama, but just the flow of energy, subtle energy. And then let's bring the right hand to left ribs and reach the left arm up. So it could be that you just touch in a little bit, rub the ribs. So touch is a really good way to connect mind to body. And then take a lean over to the right and turn and look underneath left armpit. And it could be that right hand just slides a little towards the back as you do that, and then you come back to upright, but don't force anything. Make sure your neck feels comfortable, face is relaxed, that you're not straining in your breath. So do it about 3 times, just explore it there. And then when you're done, you're bringing the arms down, extending the legs out. So flexing the feet, see how it is to sit. Bend the knees a little, do that rounding. And then this time, as you're straightening the legs out, reach the arms forward and up and look through your hands and really extend. So you can press the backs of the legs down into the floor to extend through front body. And then let's round again. So the arms come down, the knees bend. There's a little curl in on yourself. And then you reach back up. Okay, then arms can come down, legs can relax. Let's just shake the legs. And then we'll come onto all fours. Spread fingers, knees about hip width apart, just a few circles in each direction, just to really feel into the floor and to feel into your joints. See how willing or not they are to take weight today. And then settle yourself into stillness. You've got your hands more or less above your shoulders and your hips above your knees. And let's press the palms really firmly down into the floor, broadening your shoulders out. So you're not creating a valley in between the shoulders, but you're broadening your shoulders out. Firm push of the palms to the floor. If you have wrist issues, you can be on your forearms, firmly pushing. And then release, and then a firm push of the front of the ankles down towards the floor. And release. So you're feeling this kind of earth energies come into the body as you, let's do the two together now, push down through the hands and through the front of the ankles or the shins. Yeah, so you're feeling your core engage and your back broaden and your neck soften and lengthen. So hopefully feeling good and strong. And then let's release. Let's do a little rock backwards and forwards, tucking and untucking the toes as we go. So one pass you've got toes tucked under, and the next you've got toes untucked. So it could be that this is enough, you keep doing this one. It could be that as you tuck your toes, you also lift your knees just a little from the floor and then place them down, untuck the toes. So you could take a few rounds of that, or maybe just do 2 or 3 of those and then go back to the other one. And then it could be that if you've been lifting your knees in this way, you could now start floating hips up higher and you find a dog pose. So a couple of breaths in dog, your tail reaching to the sky, your knees softening, your shoulders broadening, and you've got that same firm push into the floor with your palms as you had when we were on all fours. And then let's come down onto the knees. Turn the inner elbows to face forwards if you're on your palms here, and then lower the elbows down, so you're on your forearms. And let's circle round the elbows with the shoulders. And opposite direction. And then try the back and forth tucking, untucking. I mean, maybe you're already doing this version, but tucking, untucking with the forearms on the floor. And seeing if there's a willingness for knees to lift in this position. So you'll notice if you have been doing the one on the palms previously, that this is different access to the shoulders. And from this one, maybe up into forearm dog pose, or you just find some way to lift your hips, lengthen the legs out. You might come straight back down, or you might move around inside. You can walk the feet towards you, away from you a little bit. See how it is on the shoulders. Try not to let the elbows slide to the outer edges of the mat. So lots of movement, knee bending, shoulder movements, feet towards and away if you're in that forearm dog, just to explore it. And then down onto the knees to bring the belly and the chest down in between the forearms. And then just make a pillow with the hands, rest the forehead. And take a few breaths. So So noticing how it is to have the front of the body in contact with the floor. So we've really been focusing on opening and expanding front body, particularly the chest, in the practice this morning. And now you're just noticing how it is to have this really clear, firm, dense protection in front of your chest. And then let's press the right hip down into the floor. And release. And the left hip down into the floor. And release. Pubic bone can press down. Lift your straight right leg up to see how it feels to lift the leg. How high the thigh is from the floor, for example. You want pelvis to be level. And then lower the leg down. Let's bend the right knee so the foot is reaching up towards the ceiling. Press that right thigh down into the floor. Release the press. Pelvis stays level, so it could be that you're pressing right frontal hip bone down, and lift the thigh. And then lower. Straighten out the leg so the foot comes down. Pubic bone pressing the floor. And then lift the straight leg again, straight right leg. And you might find that you're just effortlessly lifting your thigh quite a lot higher. And then let's release. And then pressing the left hip down into the floor. And the right hip down into the floor. And then the pubic bone down into the floor to lift your straight left leg. Just see how it feels to do it and how high the thigh is from the floor with level pelvis. And then lower the leg. And then bend at the knee to point the foot to the ceiling. Press the thigh down into the floor. Release the press and lift the thigh up as best you can, pelvis staying level. So you're not taking the foot over to the right or twisting right, you're just aiming to keep pelvis level. And then lower the thigh down, straighten the leg out. Pubic bone presses down, lift straight left leg. And you might find that it just feels lighter and easier and that you've effortlessly come a little higher. And then release. And then let's tuck the toes of both feet under. So you've got your forehead resting on your palms, your forearms pressing down into the floor. Let's simultaneously push the heels back to lift the knees so the toes stay on the floor, and push the forearms into the floor to let the chest and the head float up. But let's draw the shoulder blades down the back. And then keep your toes tucked, touch your knees, lower your head down. And take it again. So you push your heels away, your knees lift, you push the floor away with the forearms, the chest lifts, you draw the shoulder blades down, you're not sticking your chin forward. And then release. You want to feel the front body receiving a lengthening there. And then once again, let's come up. Slowly opening out through the front of the chest. And then releasing down. Untucking the toes. Taking a few resting breaths. And then forearms in alongside the body to push up away from the floor the way we came down. So you could have palms flat, you could be on the side of your fists. So you push yourself up away from the floor. Let's be in a child's pose. And then walk the hands in towards the knees. We'll come to standing. So tuck the toes, lift the knees, sink the heels down to bring yourself to upright. So you come to stand. So probably standing there at the back of your mat. So feet are about hip width apart. We're spreading and lengthening the toes. See if you can press little toe to the floor, and then fourth toe, and then third toe, second toe and big toe. And then lift all the toes. Lower the toes, lift the heels. Lower the heels, and again try pressing big toes down now this time, and then second toes, third toes, fourth toes, and little toes to see if you can get into the different toes. And then let's go towards a forward bend and an upward stretch, and again in honor of the dive down within, and then the opening out that this season is inviting. And so we do need a little bit of inward focus, and then we're up and out. So let's bring the hands to the back of the thighs, and you're going to run the hands down towards the ankles, so softening your knees as you go. So you're coming towards a forward bend, you're just feeling that sense of inwardness, and then firm push of the feet into the floor. The arms are going out and up. You're coming to upright. Let's touch the palms together above the head. Raise the gaze and really lift as if you're trying to reach the sun. And then you're going to soften the arms down. So we're going to do a few rounds of this, and we could do it on the breath. So you inhale as you prepare. You exhale into a forward bend, so the hands are running down the back of the legs, just to whichever level feels good for you. A little pause there. And then an inhalation floats the arms out and up as you uncurl to standing. And an exhalation is bringing the arms down. So we're going to do 3 more rounds, so you find your own breath rhythm. You don't have to follow mine. So you take a breath in, and then you exhale. You're coming forwards, and you inhale, you're uncurling upwards, really reaching for the sun. And then you exhale, you bring the arms down, perhaps feeling yourself really showered by the goodness of the sun. So inhaling to prepare, exhale, you come forwards. Inhaling, you reach upwards. Exhaling, you float the arms downwards. And once more, so you inhale to prepare, you exhale to curl down. Inhale to float up. And exhale to bring the arms down. Hands to prayer position. Let's push down firmly through the left foot and just lighten the right heel. Firmly through left foot, lightening right heel. Maybe right foot comes away from the floor for a moment. Find your balance. And then change sides. So push down firmly through right foot. Lighten left heel. So try not to sassy your hip out, so you want nice strong push. The more you push down into the foot, the more you activate the hip, and then the foot's lifting maybe. And try not to lean to the right. And then let's release. So push down through left foot, lifting right foot, and you're finding some version of a tree posture. So you could hook your toes behind the ankle, you could have the toes on top of the foot, you could bring the foot somewhere higher up the leg. And then perhaps you can visualize a tree in its full summer majesty, and you could open your arms out and up as an expression of that. Let's take a few breaths, expansive breaths. We're reaching for the heavens, but staying really firmly rooted and planted in the earth. And then you'll step out of your balance and bring the hands back to prayer. And then shift over to the other side. So choosing your foot position, so you might go for the same shape, just for symmetry. And then with that image in your mind of a tree in full summer majesty, you can take your arms out and up. And then slowly stepping out and bringing your hands to the heart. And let's do 3 rounds of breath to finish. So I'll talk you through it first. It's sort of a bigger breath and a smaller breath. So, you know, we're at a very big, expansive time of year, and it's good to be able to sort of experience the energy of that. But sometimes we also need a smaller breath or a smaller expression in order to feel safe. So the round of breath goes like so. You'll take the arms out and up, breathing in through the nostrils. An exhalation through the mouth, pushing the palms down towards the floor. So this is our grounding breath that we know. So that's a big expression of the breath. And then a smaller inhalation. You just bring the hands up to the heart, so honouring heart. And then a smaller exhalation, you turn the palms to face downwards. So I'll talk you through it once more. So you inhale, big breath, arms out and up. And you exhale through the mouth, pushing the palms down. So you want your exhalation to last for a long time. And then a smaller inhalation, bringing hands up to the heart, palms face upwards, and then a smaller exhalation. So I won't talk you through it, so just find your own rhythm. We'll do 3 rounds. So a bigger breath, a smaller breath is 1 round. So away we go. So when your 3 rounds are complete, stand for a moment with your eyes closed, noticing how you are, noticing the length of your spine and your crown reaching for the sky, and feel your feet firmly rooted into the earth. And then keeping hold these energies, just come down onto the floor into a position that you're comfortable to rest in. And once you're settled, just noticing your resting breath. It could be that you've chosen to return to the position that we began in with the arms and legs out wide. In which case you can just do a little compare and contrast how you're doing now, how you were then. It could be that you're in a different position. But let's stay aware of the breath. And this sense of solstice energy being drawn into center on an inhalation, so bright light, and then that light being spread into every cell of your being on exhalation. So breath can be easy, don't need to be making deeper breaths. And as you stay with this, just lightly feeling your way towards a new inquiry. So summer is often associated with abundance, so nature is certainly abundant at this time of year. And we focus a lot on wanting abundance in our lives, but just in this moment, perhaps consider what abundance is already present in your life that you have a tendency to overlook. So where is there abundance that you don't always appreciate? And so just for these last few moments, breathing light through your being, and you're appreciating all that is abundant in your life.